Week 17 of the National Football League. And the New Orleans Saints, the defending Super Bowl champions, will kick off. Tampa Bay has won the toss and elected to receive. Thomas Morstead will handle the kickoff duties here today once again for New Orleans. As you know the story, New Orleans still has a chance to be the overall #1 seed in the NFC playoffs. That will require a win here today and an Atlanta loss against Carolina. For the Buccaneers to get in, they have to win today. Green Bay and the Giants both have to lose their games. Both will be played later today on Fox. And this one underway. Michael Spurlock from the 2-yard line. Wrapped up and dropped at the 22 by Roman Harper. We saw Josh Freeman last weekend throw 5 touchdowns without an interception in the win against Seattle, which ties a Tampa Bay franchise record shared by Steve DeBerg and Brad Johnson. And of course in the backfield, LeGarrette Blount, the rookie, closing in on 1,000 yards. Another big year from another rookie, Mike Williams.
The challenge is going to be in the offensive line, where Tampa Bay is starting 2 rookies at guard, Ted Larson and Derek Hardman.
Freeman has just had simply an outstanding year. He's only been intercepted 6 times. And he'll throw on first down. Under pressure. Gets it away, and it's incomplete. New Orleans ranked number 5 overall on defense.
Cedric Ellis has done a great job of anchoring their front 7, but the real challenge is going to come on the back end. You're going to see Malcolm Jenkins come down and match up with the Bucs' talented tight end, Kellen Winslow.
Jenkins moved from cornerback, where he was drafted in the first round a year ago out of Ohio State, to safety this year. And man, what a year he's had. Fake it one way, they come back the other way, and that's good enough for a first down to the backup tight end, Ryan Purvis. And he's up to the 34-yard line.
We've said it many times, Josh Freeman, the size and athleticism, it's hard to get used to how athletic this big guy is. He's every bit of 6'6", 240 pounds, and he doesn't look particularly nifty because he's so big and long-legged, but this is an excellent athlete.
And a very impressive young man.
Oh gosh, what a great young man to sit and visit with.
Buccaneers a season ago, just 3 wins. And today, Freeman trying to lead them to their 10th victory of the season. He spends a timeout.
Well, they ask a lot of Josh Freeman, even though he's a young quarterback, and you really can't think of him in that way. All that he's done now, he's the unquestioned leader of this team. But they ask a lot of him, identifying the front, setting the mic for line protections, checking the runs to the pass, and vice versa. If things aren't just right, he's going to have the calm now to make that timeout call, because he knows in this environment, trying to earn a playoff spot, it's got to be just right against this New Orleans Saints defense.
You know, Brian, there's always that fine line. You brought it up before we saw the Buccaneers last week. You know, you say, yeah, we've had a good year. And they've had a great year after the 3-13 last year. But now you're trying to get in. And, brother, you're down to this one game. You got to win. You're rooting for help from the Giants. You're rooting for help from the Bears later on this afternoon.
And if I'm Raheem Morris, I want this experience for this young team. No matter how it turns out, it's going to bode well going down the way.
First carry for LeGarrette Blount. What a find he has been after being waived by Tennessee. Some extra pushing and shoving going on at the bottom of that pile. There's more than that going on.
You know, obviously at the top end of this division, you talk about the competitiveness, the passion that the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints have. Well, you know what? The New Orleans Saints and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have some history as well. These Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat New Orleans last year, and that was late in the season. Some people will dismiss it in terms of New Orleans really didn't need the game, but Sean Payton knows these are two physical football teams, and that was the real deal last year. This Tampa Bay Buccaneers team is capable of beating the New Orleans Saints.
Gain of 5 by Blunt, who goes to the sideline. They fake it to Carnell Williams, and the catch is made all the way up to midfield. Greg Lumpkin.
Yeah, now you're just seeing the pushing, the shoving. People are still, at this point now, it just escalates. You get into this, there's nothing egregious there. It's just guys pushing, but everybody's going to get involved. Everybody knows what's at stake. Everybody wants to stand their ground saying, no, 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 no. We ain't going to get pushed around today.
Blunt for a second time. And big running room for LeGarrette Blunt. And he has a first down all the way to the Saints' 33-yard line, a gain of 16. Blunt very easily by the end of the half should reach 1,000 yards on the season.
Tom, I want you to see the way everybody's bunched up right here. We talk about putting pressure on to stop the run, but look at the alley that gives you to the outside. You can bring people down into the box, but you got to maintain the gaps or you're going to get gouged on the outside like we did here.
That's Malcolm Jenkins. He took that blow from Blunt over by the sideline. We'll be back. Malcolm Jenkins able to get back on his feet and walk to the sideline. Looks like he's okay. Five-time Pro Bowler Darren Sharper, number 42, takes over for Malcolm Jenkins. LeGarrette Blunt runs out of one tackle, falls down, and is dropped. Alex Brown initially behind the line of scrimmage, and Danny Clark came up to finish him off.
Looks like here they just get wadded up as he comes in on LeGarrette Blunt, and this is a big man to be taken on high. I don't know if I'm not Malcolm Jenkins, I don't take him on a little lower, because this is every bit of 240 pounds, and it looks like he just comes down on it wrong. Hopefully he'll be back. They need him for the matchup.
Offense, 12 men in the huddle. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Eric Lorig, number 44, is replacing the injured Ernest Graham today at fullback, and it looked like he was a man that was on the field too long.
The visiting team coach called timeout prior to 12 in the huddle. This will be Tampa Bay's second charge timeout of the half. It will be a 30-second timeout.
All right, so no penalty after all. Raheem Morris had already taken a timeout, and that's 2 of them. Or are they saying it was New Orleans which took the timeout?
They were trying to figure out what defense they wanted to run against 12 guys. All right, we're going to see. We're going to see if they got it right. I'm going to see if I can count these guys up right. And there's 12 guys right there. The rule is, though, until the quarterback comes into the huddle, it's not illegal. Many times you'll see a quarterback step out, wait to get it sorted out. And as you mentioned, with the injury to Graham, there's going to be a little bit of the substitution. What do we do? They're still working on Jenkins. Boy, this would be a big loss for New Orleans. We talked earlier about this is the guy they want to match up with Kellen Winslow.
The timeout, by the way, was indeed charged to the Buccaneers. Second down and 14. Freeman still on his feet and has made the decision that he's just going to hang on to the football. Trying to bring up a third down and long on this opening possession for the Buccaneers. Let's check in with Kurt Menefee back in Los Angeles for a game break.
Well, you talked about what the Saints are playing for. They will be happy to see this. Atlanta's first possession against Carolina ends in a touchdown. Matt Ryan's 6-yard pass to Tony Gonzalez, and the Falcons are up 7-0 over the Panthers. Of course, a Falcon win. They wrap up the South. Tom, Brian?
They wrap up the South, and they wrap up the #1 seed overall in the NFC playoffs. Three-man rush. Desmond Briscoe, the reception to the 25, and out comes the field goal unit as it's 4th down and 3 to go.
And this is a tough one. I understand not wanting to put pressure and allow Josh Freeman to get a big play down the field, but Josh Freeman's experienced enough to drop this ball off. They just allowed them to get into field goal position. They were outside of field goal range before that. Now they got a chance to get 3 points on the board.
Connor Barth with a 43-yard field goal try. He's hit on 20 of 25 during the year, and this one right down the middle, and it is good. So the Buccaneers on their opening possession of the game jump in front, 3-0. Josh Freeman and the Buccaneers marching 51 yards, capped up by a Connor Barth 43-yard field goal and a 3-0 Buccaneers lead. Should be noted, New Orleans playing without a lot of its big weapons offensively today. No Marcus Colston after knee surgery earlier in the week. No Jeremy Shockey with a groin injury. Pierre Thomas re-aggravated that ankle injury on Friday in practice, so Devery Henderson will return kicks today, and he stopped at the 22-yard line. So Breeze and the Saints get the ball for the first time when we come back. Will today be the final home game of this football season for the New Orleans Saints, who can do no worse than the number 5 seed overall in the NFC playoffs. They're hoping somehow, some way, Carolina can knock off Atlanta. The Saints win here today and get the number 1 seed, and looking for the big one is Breeze, and it's incomplete. Good coverage of E.J. Biggers on Devery Henderson. 5 straight years of throwing for 4,000 yards or more. The other quarterback who in fact has done it twice is Peyton Manning. Told you about some of the weapons missing. Jimmy Graham becoming a bigger and bigger part of this offense.
And this may be the best offensive line in the National Football League. 2 Pro Bowlers this year. Both center Goodwin and Stitchcomb went last year.
Slant to Lance Moore. And the undrafted free agent out of Toledo has the first down up to the 43.
You know, we talked about Tampa Bay having to pressure, and that was fine with Drew Brees because that gives him opportunities to do just this. Get the ball out of his hands quickly with one-on-one matchups on the backside. It's great to bring that guy down into the box and pressure the run, put pressure on Drew Brees, but if he gets the ball out of his hands, he can be absolutely lethal.
Julius Jones is checked into the backfield for the Saints. Free play for Drew Brees, and it's incomplete. He was looking at Torrey Humphrey across the middle of the field. It looked like early movement on the defense, and Roy Miller. 90, that's right.
Offside, defense, number 90, 5-yard penalty, replay, first down.
Miller's been the one guy that has stayed healthy this entire season for this depleted Tampa Bay defense. You just look in the last 4 weeks. Aqib Talib with a hip injury against Atlanta. Number 1 pick Gerald McCoy. Torn biceps. Linebacker Quincy Black broke a forearm. And of course Cody Grimm, their starting safety. Chris Ivory, a heralded rookie who has missed the last couple of games with an injured hamstring. He was on his way to leading all rookies in rushing and touchdowns and yards per carry until he got hurt.
Yeah, well, they brought Sean Jones down to stop this run, but part of the equation is when you bring a guy down, you got to be able to make the tackle. And you know what? Rude's a pretty good tackler. That's just a great downhill run.
Ivory, another one of those undrafted free agents. They found him out of Tiffin, Ohio. Short drop. Moore again. And a nice tackle in the open field made by Biggers. It's to the 36-yard line.
We've seen 2 plays now where they're bringing the guys down inside to count for the run. That leaves them one-on-one on the outside. Anytime Drew Brees sees this, he'll dump that off to the outside. Even if it's not an audible, he can just pull up and throw it. And we've talked about smoke routes where you just abandon the run and throw it to an outside receiver. We'll see a bunch of that as we see this 8-man front of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You can see it right here. He's challenging him again. He's going to do that the whole game.
Oh, should have been intercepted by Adam Hayward. And he dropped it. A flag is in the secondary. Hit him in a bad spot.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact, defense, number 31, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Well, it wouldn't have mattered. That's E.J. Biggers.
Yeah, you can see here the contact once you get past that 5 yards right there. As innocuous as that is, you can't touch him going down the field. You know what, Tom? The New Orleans Saints were victimized by pressure the last 2 weeks against Baltimore and Atlanta. They played very well. Drew Brees is very anxious to show, 1, I can handle the pressure, and 2, he loves the pressure because now I'm getting the one-on-one matchups we're talking about on the outside.
Incomplete. Devery Henderson have gotten behind Biggers. Let's take a look at Tampa Bay defensively. We've talked about some of the key injuries they've had already.
Yeah, and the rotating people they've had to put in. They've had to change the profile. This is going to put a lot of pressure on the back end. Rondé Barber and E.J. Biggers are going to be asked to do a lot more in man coverage against this New Orleans Saints team.
Rondé Barber in his 14th year since being drafted in the 3rd round back in 1997. Will this be his final game as a Buccaneer? Rondé Barber's gone toe-to-toe with Drew Brees many, many times. We asked him about it last night.
He always finds a way to be a step ahead of you. I wish I could be in one of his quarterback meetings, to be honest with you, just to figure out how he knows everything that you're doing. And, you know, he's a smart quarterback when he drops back, but I think his biggest asset is that he knows where to get rid of the football. If you give him a look that he's not expecting, he still knows where to get rid of the football.
3rd down, they set up a screen to Reggie Bush. And he appears to have enough for a first down. Needed to get to the 21-yard line. It is.
Well, this is one of the things you do against that pressure. I want you to watch the upfield pressure. Anytime you're going to play a pressure front, if you can invite them upfield, you let them come through, and then you got Reggie Bush out here one-on-one. This is like a toss play. Oh, in open air against the defense. Tampa Bay knows it's at risk bringing these pressures, but they've got to do it if they're going to slow down Drew Brees.
Reggie Bush getting better and better after missing 8 weeks with a broken fibula suffered in week 2 in San Francisco. And we've seen Ivory. This guy is a load. To think that New Orleans could begin the playoffs, whether they be the 5 seed and have to play on the road, or the number 1 seed where they'd have a week off. To think that they'd begin the playoffs with a healthy Chris Ivory, a healthy Reggie Bush, and a healthy Pierre Thomas is scary for all comers.
Well, and they had that trio last year. They didn't have, obviously, Ivory, but they had Mike Bell. And Sean Payton talked about how Ivory kind of fills that role for them. And you're exactly right. A healthy Pierre Thomas and Reggie Bush, they're getting healthy at just the right time.
Hayward had a bead on Drew Brees. He stepped out of trouble and just threw it away.
You know, I tell you what, as a coach, you just sit and hold your breath. Anytime Drew Brees can hold on to the ball that long, get outside of your pressure, you're just praying, please hold up on the back end, hold up on the back end. Nice job by the Tampa Bay secondary, not giving him a place to go.
Tenth play of the drive, 3rd down and 6. And that's Jimmy Graham for a first down. unbelievably, the Saints are converting 49% on third down this year, best in the NFL.
And they're doing it with little simple routes like this. Jimmy Graham, all 6'6" of him, gives the quarterback a huge sweep spot. This kid is, tell you what, he just gets better and better. The size, the speed that he has, a great target for Drew Brees on third down.
Graham slightly limping off the field. They're already playing without Jeremy Shockey and David Thomas at the tight end position. They give it to Ivory. And he reaches the 4-yard line. For more on Jimmy Graham, let's check in with Carissa Thompson. Hi, Carissa.
Hey, guys. Well, yeah, he leads the Saints tight ends in touchdowns in his rookie campaign. I was talking to fellow tight end Jeremy Shockey before the game. I said, what makes Graham so good? He said he's got great hands and he runs really well. Jeremy said when he entered his rookie year in New York, he really looked to a guy named Dan Campbell who taught him a lot, specifically about the importance of run blocking, something he's trying to stress to Graham. They'll spend the offseason together in Miami working on football and also a little hoops, guys.
Yeah, why not? Boy, dangerous throw right there. That could have been a disaster. And Rondé Barber saw it coming.
Yeah, you know, you just enjoy visiting with Rondé Barber. What has he not seen on a football field? And he sees right now a stacked combination. This typically leads to these little one-step screens. Look how quickly he reacted. He wasn't thinking twice about it. He knew exactly what he had saw. The time between recognition and action for Rondé Barber, he's seen it all. The young receivers keep asking him, how do you know that's coming? He goes, man, I've seen it a million times already. How can I not?
Third down and goal. Graham, the former basketball player at Miami, into the air for a touchdown. He beat Rondé Barber.
Yeah, and even if you know it's coming, and Rondé Barber did, when you got a guy that's 6'6", I want you to watch this. And Rondé Barber, he's in great position right into here. Watch the way he trails, but this guy is so big, has such a reach. Drew Brees, I'm surprised he didn't put it a little higher and further in behind him. Rondé Barber knew what was going on. He just couldn't do anything about it.
So a field goal for the Bucs on their first possession, a touchdown, and looking for a point after from Garrett Hartley on their first, and they'll get it to take a 7-3 lead. Plays 78 yards. Converted 3 times on third down. And Carissa mentioned what a big part of this offense Jimmy Graham has become as the season has gone on. Well, those numbers don't lie. That's 4 touchdowns in his last 3 games. Of course, the biggest one of the group, that game winner in Atlanta on Monday night. Flag down. As Spurlock brings it up to the 28-yard line. Is it coming back? Yes, it is. They're going to take a look at Graham. We told you he was limping around after the third down catch. It got him down inside the 5.
Return team number 41. Penalty is half the distance to the goal. First down, Tampa Bay. Timeout.
Can the youngster Josh Freeman and the Bucs answer the New Orleans touchdown? Plenty on the line for both the Buccaneers and the Saints here today in this season finale. Tampa Bay must win to have any chance of reaching the NFC playoffs. And of course, they'll need losses by both Green Bay and the New York Giants to qualify. LeGarrette Blount cuts it back to the inside and wrapped up by Darren Sharper up to the 14-yard line following the penalty. As always, we'd like to welcome the men and women in uniform serving around the world watching our telecast today in 175 countries on AFN, the American Forces Network. Thanks so much for all you do. We hope you're enjoying our telecast today away from your family and friends during the Christmas season and the New Year. God bless all of you, and thank you so much for your service. loss of 1 on a carry by Blunt. Let's check in once again with Kurt Menefee back in Los Angeles.
Saints fans don't want to see this. Bucs fans have already seen it. A return touchdown by Eric Weems of Atlanta, this time on a punt return. 55 yards, put the Falcons up on top of Carolina 14-0. And as you guys know, if Atlanta wins, New Orleans is done as far as first place in the NFC. Tom and Brian.
Indeed, they would be. Thank you, Kurt. They're down at 7. Blitz coming, they get it away. And a pretty nifty move, but the ball came loose. Is that a fumble? Or is he down? And if he's down, is it good enough for a first down? Needed to get to the 19-yard line. That was Mike Williams on the catch.
We're going to measure.
Yes, he was tripped up.
Yeah, you know, they say that in the NFL, obviously, if he's not touched right here, then that would have been a fumble because the ground can cause a fumble, but he was touched, and it looks like as he went down, the ball came out. I think he's far enough down the field for the first down. This would be lethal for Tampa Bay if it goes the other way.
Oh, my.
Boy.
Do you even think about it?
You know what, you want to, and given the circumstances, you can't trade touchdowns for field goals with the New Orleans Saints, but in this situation, too early in the game, they're doing the right thing by punting. The bravado in you wants to say go for it. Your offensive coordinator saying, yeah, you can get it. That's where Raheem Morris, as the head coach, got to go. Not so fast. We're going to punt this thing.
Hey, look, real quick. Whether or not you're a coach next year remains to be seen. But up here in the booth for 2 years, does it change your thinking maybe on decisions like this?
I can't tell you what a different perspective I have. Not only up in the booth, but sitting in a different facility every Friday, talking to a different team every Saturday for 3 years. It's been an amazing tutelage for me.
Reggie Bush from the 37. And he is leveled at the 42-yard line. So while Brian Billick ponders his career, whether another year in the booth would do him some good, we'll step aside. .222 to play in the opening quarter from the Superdome in New Orleans. A couple of nights from now, of course, they'll be hosting the Sugar Bowl here. Raheem Morris. He looks barely out of college, doesn't he?
You know what? This guy is a joy to visit with.
Youngest head coach of the youngest team in the NFL. And of course, for Sean Payton, celebrated the franchise's first ever Super Bowl title a year ago. We've told you already, would clinch the #1 overall seed in the NFC playoffs with a win coupled with an Atlanta loss at home against Carolina. And right now, Carolina is trailing the Falcons 14-0.
You know, this is interesting. I don't know that we have another matchup in the league, Tom, when we've got a head coach for the New Orleans Saints who calls the offensive plays, and the defensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is their head coach, Raheem Morris. This is an interesting back and forth between coordinators / head coach.
Of course, Raheem Morris took over as the play caller on defense about midway through last year. Breeze rolling, looking around, and he'll tiptoe out of bounds. That'll bring up a third down. I thought you asked a very interesting question yesterday of Barrett Ruud, their captain on the field at middle linebacker, about Raheem Morris as a defensive play caller. And have you seen maturity or growth in that area? Because Raheem had never done it at the pro level before.
And Ruud talked about, yeah, he has seen a growth in Raheem Morris. He talked about the linebacker meeting they have, just like a quarterback coordinator meeting. They have a middle linebacker coordinator meeting at the latter part of each week to talk about the same types of calls, what will be coming in. He talked about the growth of Raheem Morris as a defensive play caller as well.
Just slips it right through there to Reggie Bush. And there is a penalty flag way back in the secondary. It'll be holding against Tampa Bay. After a 19-yard completed pass to Reggie Bush.
Holding Defense, number 23. That penalty is declined. Result of the play, first down.
Yeah, this is lethal. I want you to watch. It looks like pressure here, but I want you to watch these guys drop off. It ends up being a subtle rush. Excuse me, the backer comes. Stop right there. Look at that. Look at the way that when they bring Barrett Root in the middle, that left nobody in that voided area. This is huge, and this is classic Breeze. Just get the ball out any way I can.
Right past the ear of Styles G. White. They go to Lance Moore. And he steps out of bounds at the 30. That'll be a gain of 6.
And that's that combination we talked about earlier, Tom, when you've got a Chris Ivory, you've got Pierre Thomas, and then you throw in a Reggie Bush. A little play like that little check down. Yeah, everybody throws it, but not everybody has a Reggie Bush that you throw it to, and he's getting healthy. We had him a couple weeks ago against Baltimore. Reggie didn't look like he had that step, that explosion. Today he looks like he's beginning to get back to like he was before the injury.
Back to the inside, it's Ivory, and that's a first down to the 23 on the final play of this opening quarter. Saints lead the Buccaneers 7-3. You're watching the NFL on Fox. Possession ho-hum, 102 yards for New Orleans.
Yeah, and this is the thing that jumps out at you. 3 penalties already for Tampa Bay. It's going to be tough to come into this building and beat the reigning Super Bowl champs if you give back yardage via penalties like that.
Breeze and the Saints perfect on 3rd down thus far, converting 4 out of 4. And Ivory back healthy again. Strong runner in the arms of Barrett Root.
You know, Tom, when you look at the difference between the Saints last year and this year, what jumps out at you is 3 things. That top one in particular. Last year, 6th in the league in rushing. They're 27th this year. Sean Payton knows he's got to get that back on track. They're not as explosive, and they're a -5 in the turnover differential. Those are all things that've got to get cleaned up going into the playoffs.
Well, a healthy Ivory will help that running game. We know that. Had some players nicked up already today. Carissa Thompson.
Yeah, both of them were taken to the locker room. Safety Malcolm Jenkins will be out. Doubtful return. He's on the sideline right now with an injured right knee. They tried to put a brace on it, tried to have him work it out on the sideline again, took him into the locker room. Trainer's obviously not happy to give him the green light. Meanwhile, Jimmy Graham is nursing a left sprained ankle. His return is questionable, guys.
All right, Carissa Thompson, thank you very much. Jimmy tried to walk it off, and Malcolm Jenkins will have to sit it out. Not a bad backup inning, Darren Sharper. Pretty good player.
Yeah, pretty good guy to put in. And Sean Payton, let's see.
Final charge timeout. Tampa Bay.
Buccaneers are out of timeouts. Just when you think your team's starting to get healthy, and all of a sudden you play a quarter of football here today. Malcolm Jenkins is lost for the game. Jimmy Graham has injured an ankle, and back to the sideline is Chris Ivory, who's back for the first time in 3 weeks. 3rd down. What a throw. What a throw.
And that was against a 3-man rush where they dropped everybody in the coverage. Drew Brees, Lance Moore, his go-to guy. And this ball for Drew Brees, again, you know, everybody's made a big deal about his height, and yeah, he's got to move around the pocket. You just make plays. This is why this guy, I think, obviously notwithstanding an abbreviated career, this guy could be headed to the Hall of Fame. He just does everything so effectively. He plays at another level.
5 of 5 on 3rd down to the Saints today. And that's Adrian Arrington active for the first time in his career. And he's down to the 2-yard line. Let's quickly send it back to Los Angeles.
Atlanta reaching for the dagger, up 2 scores on Carolina. They go for it on 4th and 3. They don't convert. But it is Carolina they're playing. Next series, Mike Gibson running the football, but not for long. He coughs it up. Mike Peterson recovers for the Falcons. Atlanta has the ball, holding on to that 2-touchdown lead. Tom and Brian?
All right, thanks so much, Kurt Menefee. Adrian Arrington, the first reception of his career. And a jump ball for Lance Moore locked up down there with Adam Hayward. It's incomplete.
Well, this is a matchup you don't want. A linebacker on Lance Moore, but he actually does a nice job. Hands up early. Got to be careful you don't get the contact early. There is no face guarding in the NFL. That doesn't exist. But actually the timing's excellent.
A pair of additional offensive linemen come in for New Orleans. Zach Streif, who gets a lot of playing time, 64, and Charles Brown, number 71. And they're going to run it to Julius Jones. And is the football loose? It is. Jones coughs it up inside the 5, and the Buccaneers have it. What a big turnaround that could be when it looked like the Saints were going in for a 14-3 lead. Well, despite the fact that Barrett Root has led Tampa Bay in tackles each of the last 3 years, he comes under some fire from some of the critics that follow the Bucs, and he never lays a big hit on people like a Ray Lewis or middle linebackers like that. What a big play he just made, forcing the Julius Jones fumble. And a 7-3 game, and Freeman to throw it from his own end zone. Looking around and lays it off to the tight end Gilmore. Very close to a first down.
Great read by Barrett Rood. Watch how quickly he recognizes the play, now pulls the trigger, gets over into position, steps over the block, and comes in and delivers the blow. This is a huge turnover for Tampa Bay. You can watch here coming in. Great pad level, knocking the ball out. They desperately needed this turnover. Barrett Rood is an underappreciated linebacker. I know his former head coach, John Gruden, absolutely loved this guy, was singing his praises all the time.
Second and a foot. Now that's a lot more than a foot. First carry of the afternoon for Carnell Williams, and it's up to the 20-yard line.
And you can see the way the Tampa Bay Buccaneer offensive line, remember we said you at the top of the show, they're playing with 2 rookie guards. They're getting good push against this New Orleans Saints front 7. You can see why New Orleans has to bring that safety down into the box to stop the run, because I'm not sure they can hold up with just their front 7.
Spurlock's going to throw it, and he's looking for Freeman. That's Josh Johnson who checked in underneath center, and Johnson was trying to pull in that pass from Spurlock, and not a bad throw.
No, they needed Josh Freeman in there because they needed that height. Johnson just a little bit smaller. You're going to see as he comes in motions, he's going to hand off and then sneak out the backside here. Very subtle. But they had none of it. Nice job on the backside coverage. He was having none of this. We saw this score, I think, the other night against on the South Carolina game. This is a classic Steve Spurrier play. They needed the height of Freeman on that play.
Second and 10. Maurice Stovall breaks a tackle and is run out of bounds at the 27-yard line. It brings up 3rd down and 3 for the Buccaneers.
And you see more and more of these plays. It comes right out of the college game. They're really like extended pitches. Anything that gets you outside the perimeter of a defense, particularly when they want to put 8 people in the box. We've been talking about it the whole game. We're seeing a lot of these outside throws. Greg Olsen knows that New Orleans has to bring people down inside. He's going to do everything he can to get the ball outside.
Buccaneers are out of timeouts. Play clock down to 1, and here comes a blitz. Free shot for Will Smith. He couldn't get him. And a completed pass to Williams for a first down. How about Josh Freeman there, able to step away from trouble and move the chain.
In 2 accounts. First, he knows he's going to be short on the outside. He knows he's a man short because of the pressure look of New Orleans. He waits, and then at the last minute spins out. To have the athleticism for a big man like that to convert on a key 3rd down, you can see why Tampa Bay is so high on this second-year player.
Into traffic and ricocheted all the way down to the 28-yard line. It's Stovall who catches the batted pass. Big break right there, needless to say, for the Bucs.
No, that's just the way I drew it up. You know, you throw it in there, tell you, I want you to tip this thing up a little bit high, shooting for Winslow. Defender got a hand on it. The corner's already, or excuse me, the safety, Harper's already coming down because he's going to have to make a play on Winslow, and the wide receiver gets in behind it. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
They'll throw it on first down. Better protection this time. Winslow the catch. And he's to the 19, very close to another Buccaneers first down. Winslow has just had another very, very good year. Some could make the argument he should be on his way to the Pro Bowl.
And he's an alternate. He may very well find his way in there. This is a gifted athlete. I've said many times, he and Vernon Davis in San Francisco may be the best two tight ends to come out of the draft. Both top 10 picks. You got to have a dynamic tight end if you're going to throw the ball well in the NFL.
Blunt. And that's what Greg Olson, their offensive coordinator, was talking with us about last night. Says, you know, in short yardage situations like that, a physical guy, at least when you look at him, is blunt, yet sometimes just sort of tiptoes up there around the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, he's going to have to learn to pull the trigger at times. Sometimes there's nothing there. If it is, you're big enough, push the pile and get some yards. Don't think you're going to dance around too much. Not at 240-plus pounds. All you're going to do is lose yardage.
Play of the drive, third down, and looking for Preston Parker, and it's broken up. Outstanding coverage by Tracy Porter. So the field goal unit comes out, and we check in back in Los Angeles once again with Kurt Menefee.
After not making a 4th and 3 in the previous series, Atlanta goes for 4th and 1 from the 26. Still don't make it. Matt Ryan stopped. Carolina earning a little bit of respect, because Atlanta not giving them a whole lot right now. Still 14-0. Tom and Brian.
All right, Kurt, thank you. Atlanta already at 12 wins, hoping to clinch the #1 seed. 38-yard field goal try here by Connor Bart. Good snap, good hold, and that is a good kick. There is a flag down.
Boy, I think this is going to be a first down for Tampa Bay.
Yep, it's against New Orleans. Looked like Tracy Porter.
Offside.
Wow.
Defense, number 22. That 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
What a huge call that is indeed.
You know, and Sean Payton loves Tracy Porter. You're going to see it right off the edge here. But at this point, you could come out and choke him to death, and not a court in America would convict you. You got a third down. You got to get him off the field.
You've been waiting for that all year long.
I have. But it's just that's just one of those little mental errors that Sean Payton will make sure his team knows. You know what, guys? When we get into the playoffs, that can cost you another run to the Super Bowl.
So they pick up the first down on the penalty. It's still a 7-3 game. But now the Bucs first down at the Saints 20. Or 15, I beg your pardon. Parker inside the 10, the 5, and he's down to the 2-yard line. Buccaneers are playing without Aurelius Ben. They're playing without Sammy Strawder, so guys like Preston Parker and Desmond Briscoe are getting big playing time today.
Yeah, these are these one-step screens that you just get as many bodies out here in as front as you can. And now New Orleans has to see it quickly. You miss a tackle like that early, you're going to get gouged because you're going to have a whole bunch of bodies out in front of the ball carrier.
In the corner, is that a touchdown? It is a touchdown to Desmond Briscoe. So they take advantage of the penalty on what would have been a field goal. But offsides against Tracy Porter gives the Buccaneers a first down, and now this.
Your favorite route, Tom, the fade route. Look at this throw. You talk about putting it in the bucket. Every day at practice, you throw into the corner, into the pylon. Look how quickly he gets out with the perfect trajectory. That's as sweet a throw and catch as you're ever going to see. Looks like he had both feet in. What a magnificent play by Josh Freeman and the young Mr. Briscoe.
It was a very controversial signing, bringing in Briscoe off Cincinnati's practice squad, because they put him on their own practice squad but paid him a full rookie salary, paying dividends in a big way in New Orleans. What a throw by Freeman, what a catch by Briscoe. It all began with a fumble inside the 5 by Julius Jones. And the Buccaneers march all the way down the field, 96 yards to take a 10-7 lead. Henderson brings it back up to the 22-yard line. And we'll be back. Coming up next, our Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader continues with America's Game of the Week, and take your pick. NFC North champion Bears go to Lambeau. The Packers have to win to get in. The Giants have to win to get in and hope that Green Bay loses. We'll also have the Cowboys and Eagles. Coverage begins right after our game right here on Fox. All the action in the NFL today is on Fox. Right back in the hands of Julius Jones. The last time he touched it, he fumbled it down near the goal line.
And Drew Brees knows he's got to get something back here. That emotional back and forth of the fumble and then Tampa running it and throwing it down the field for the score. He's got to get the mojo back for this New Orleans team.
And up to the 35, back-to-back touches for Jones through the air and on the ground, and that's the first down.
And we're going to see a vertical shot here from Drew Brees. You know, Tampa Bay's continuing to bring the guy down heavy in the box. Even if they don't think it's a run, they got to put pressure on Drew Brees. Drew Brees knows he needs that big chunk of yardage. I'd look for a vertical shot real quick here from Drew Brees.
Closing in on 5.5 to go. Is this that shot? No, it's a screen to Julius Jones. And what a play by Rondé Barber, and a flag comes in.
It's very difficult to screen against an experienced player like Rondé Barber. They're trying to sort it out here. I think we probably got a block in the back on top of it. He's explaining to Raheem Morris what you can do with this thing. You can tack it on. They lost some yardage. You might even think about turning it down.
Illegal block in the back. Offense number 77. The penalty is declined. Second down.
Yeah, you just soon give up the down because they lost some yardage anyway. But you're going to see as this screen sets up, and watch all of a sudden Rondé Barber. Nice job by the linebacker, but you're going to see Rondé Barber now shooting up from the outside. There again, that's that experience of recognition to action that Rondé Barber has. This guy is a true professional, 14 years.
Back up, back up.
Today, Barber makes his 183rd consecutive start. That is an all-time NFL record by a cornerback. Good running room for Reggie Bush. He's thrown to the turf up to the 40-yard line. It brings up 3rd down and 5.
You mentioned it earlier, Tom. This is where New Orleans, I know they haven't had quite the year that they had last year, but you're talking about a team last year. They were better than, or 46%, 48%. They lead the league in 3rd down conversion this year. When you got a Drew Brees converting on 3rd down the way he does, extending drives, you can do whatever you want on 1st and 2nd down.
Blitz coming. Brees, that vertical shot you talked about, and slightly underthrown and defended very well by the rookie Myron Lewis out of Vanderbilt. Step for step with Devery Henderson, so they do not convert on 3rd down.
And he's with them the whole way. You can see this matchup one-on-one. Corey Lynch is going to show up over the top late. Great recovery by Lewis. He was beat initially, but he didn't quit on it. Stayed close, made the quarterback throw it a little deeper than he wanted to.
Urlacher. And the 22. And run out of bounds at the 25. Well, are you hungry for a few laughs? And don't miss the grand opening of Bob's Burgers, a delicious new addition to Sunday's animation domination. Entertainment Weekly raves a comedy this well done is very rare indeed. Bob's Burgers. Series premiere 1 week from tonight after an all-new Simpsons on Fox. E.J. Biggers limping over on that Tampa Bay sideline.
This would hurt. We talked about the pressure that was going to be put on these corners, Barber and Biggers. If they lose Biggers, it's going to affect what they're able to do with their pressure package.
And they're already down a guy who would have gone to the Pro Bowl and Aqib Talib. LeGarrette Blount up to the 30-yard line, a gain of 4 on first down. Of course, Blount was a young man, and many will remember, and we talk about it frequently because some out there don't remember what happened with LeGarrette Blount in the season opener as an Oregon Duck last year. That's when an incident took place after the field with a player from Boise State after the Broncos had beaten the Ducks in the season opener. Want to get it again. Thought about the outside, plows forward, and is very close to a first down. After Boise State had beaten Oregon, this is what LeGarrette Blount became known for. He punched an opposing player, nearly had it out with a fan on his way back to the locker room, but now LeGarrette Blount has become known for moments like these.
Yeah, this hurdle action, we did both these games, Tom, and it's stunning to see a guy of this size hurdle players the way that he did.
Broke away from one tackle, and look at the power of Blount. Out across the 40 and up to the 42-yard line.
And as I said, Tom, we did these games. Don't make no mistake now. These DBs were in good position. Here you can see Kerry Rhodes of Arizona. That's great position to make a play. You have Lawyer Malloy, none better in the league. These guys are going to take him on. They've broken down. This is just a great play by LeGarrette Blount. These weren't guys going down to the knees or going down too low. He kind of picks his spots for that. He knows he's vulnerable.
Blount did not become the official starter until week 11, and look what he has done as they take a look at the injured Alex Brown. But you saw the second leading carrier in the NFL is LeGarrette Blount since he became their starter.
He's part of this kiddie core that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have with Mike Williams. You know, you don't put Josh Freeman in that category.
Sure you do.
We just saw Desmond Briscoe. Again, another rookie just came off. It's stunning how young these guys are, but they're winning with them, and what a great future for Tampa Bay.
What, are you giving away tenure to second-year league guys?
Well, he's not a rookie, you know. He's not playing like a second-year player.
That's for sure. Play fake to Blount this time. Gilmore's wide open. And a little sloppy that time by Freeman. Jeff Charleston knocked him down. That should have been an easy completion there.
Well, we talk about these young players with Tampa Bay. You know, Raheem Morris talked about they made the conscious decision when he became the head coach. They were going to go young. They wanted to build a core of young players and go forward. I don't know that even he could have anticipated the kind of success they've had in the second year, but it's this young core of players that they're basing this whole franchise on going forward.
Freeman steps up. And it's Parker for a first down. He's to the Saints' 37-yard line.
What great pocket presence by Josh Freeman, getting a little fist bump there from his rookie guard. Watch the way that he steps up here into the pocket. You're going to see they're showing all sorts of pressure here, but he doesn't panic. Look at the experience he's showing. Wait. He's such a big man. He knows I can take a hit and still get the ball off. I know someone's going to pop out if I can just wait it out. Great job by Josh Freeman.
Gain of 21, 2:20 to play until halftime, and Tampa Bay trying to add to a 10-7 advantage. Crossing pattern again, and again a completed pass to Winslow, and that's to the 25-yard line. And another first down, which will take us to the 2-minute warning. Josh Freeman and the Bucs with a 3-point lead and knocking on the door again. Fumble by Julius Jones brought that pendulum back the other way, and Mai is in on the side of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now with a 10-7 lead, but first down at the Saints 23-yard line, and Freeman to throw it on first down, and down he goes in the arms of Will Smith.
Well, this is just a great job by Will Smith coming off the edge. He backs the tackle up. The guard comes out late, just collapses the pocket. Just the kind of pressure that you need. You're going to see it here. He's going to push the tackle all the way back. The guard's going to come out late, but by that time it's too late. Just crashes through. This is as simple as a screwdriver. Just shoves the tackle pin right back into Josh Freeman. No place to go there.
New Orleans spends a timeout. Clock stops with 1:53 to play until halftime.
You know, this is a little concern for New Orleans, Tom. We've had them a couple times. We had them in their Baltimore game. We had them in their first Atlanta game, where they got run on for better than 200 yards in both games. Now, they kind of corrected it with last week's game against Atlanta, but we're seeing Tampa Bay run the ball pretty well. Greg Williams knows he's got to find that formula. I don't care if it's pressure, an 8-man box. He's got to find something to not let teams run on the way they have this second half of the season.
Loss of 9 on the sack, 2nd and 19. And the play clock runs out on them. They're out of timeouts. Brian, how does that happen? I mean, how does that happen? You huddled up.
Well, he and Zuta are getting each other's face a little bit. He's calling for it. He knows the clock is running down. He doesn't have a timeout to call. I know New Orleans is moving the ball around a lot. It's tough on a center. The quarterback, you can see his frustration right there, because he not only has to get the call, he then has to communicate to the line. The defense moves around. He has to re-communicate. The whole time the quarterback's saying, give me the ball, give me the ball. It's tough duty, and oh, by the way, it's getting pretty loud.
Sack, penalty, sack. They've gone from the 24 all the way back to the 48. And Charleston says he has it because he does. Not only the sack, but Freeman fumbles. And the pendulum swings the other way.
Wow, I was just about going to talk about, you're going to see a 4-man rush in here, a little bit of a stunt, okay? And watch what happens. It gets collapsed. The tackle's out there by himself. The ball comes out. Tampa Bay had everything going their way, from the fumble, driving the length of the field, forcing a quick punt by New Orleans, and now all of a sudden, you're right, Tom, the emotion of the game just sucks right back to New Orleans.
Of course, Charleston had that huge strip of Michael Turner down at the 2-yard line in one of the most pivotal plays Monday night in Atlanta.
We will review the previous play.
They're going to review the play to see if Freeman was already down when Charleston pulled that ball out of his arm.
And you can see Freeman here, a little bit of frustration. This guy's usually Mr. Cool. But now some things are going on here. Let's see. Clearly the ball looks like it's out kind of right there. No, he's still got control of it. Going down, going down. We'll have to see if we can see when the knee is down. Well, I don't know. From the look of that, let's see if we've got another view. It looks like he had control. It looks like it started to go out there, but we can see going down from the other view, he had it. The knee is down right there. And then I think the ball comes out. This likely could go back the other way, Tom.
That first angle we showed you, you could see Freeman's hand still wrapped around the ball. Like you said, he took a hit. It looked like it came loose, but against his belly, and he still had the right hand around it.
Let's see what we can see here. Now, if we can get back to that other view, I think we'll see a better shot. It did drop down, but he had control of it. That very first look that we're talking about here, Tom, I want you to watch
the hand.
Yeah,
right hand.
But he does have control there. That's the key. So he still has control at this point. You can see right there. Now I'm going to stop it right there if we can. All right. He has control of the ball. The knee is down. The ball has not yet come out. To me, that's irrefutable evidence that he had control of the ball. It then squeezes out.
But is it enough to overturn the call on the field?
We got to remember the call on the field was a fumble. This would be huge for Tampa Bay. Tom, we talk about it all the time. The emotional ebb and flow of the game. Tampa had absolutely everything going their way. From the, like I said, the fumble to the driving the length of the field. Defense came up with a big series. They ran the ball down into good scoring position. All of a sudden now, it started with the miscommunication with the center. They had the penalty. They got a little discombobulated by the line. Then pressure came from the outside. It doesn't take much to knock you off your stride.
Well, we're still waiting. It was called a fumble and a New Orleans recovery of that fumble on the field.
This guy needs to go to makeup school. I missed it. He's not putting his eye makeup on very good. Raheem Morris, and this is the challenge for a coach, because no matter how this goes, how do I get the emotional stability back to my very young team?
Big call.
After review, the ruling on the field stands.
Wow.
It will be New Orleans ball, 1st and 10. New Orleans will also have one timeout remaining in the half.
And let's remember the verbiage. If a call is confirmed, it means you had the evidence to hold up to the ruling. If it stands, it means they just didn't have enough to overrule it. So what they're seeing here, obviously they're not buying into the fact that he had control, and they're saying it's got to stand.
This Charleston's a good football player. He's made a lot of big plays for this team in a backup role the last couple of years. So now Breeze on 1st down to Reggie Bush. And he's to the Tampa Bay 46-yard line.
We talked about the pressure that Tampa Bay has to put on you. Occasionally you have to play zone. And right now when Drew Brees sees that zone, he's killing you with it. Now they're into the no huddle, obviously, seeing if they can squeeze out a score.
And remember, Biggers is out of the game. That's Arrington to the 30. The Saints have one timeout left. Number 33, Elbert Mack, has come in to replace Biggers. We'll keep an eye on that matchup in the waning seconds.
And at some point, Raheem Morris is going to have to bring some pressure because this zone isn't getting it done.
Clock stops with 1:04 to play until the half, and coming up on the Visa halftime report, Atlanta, are the Falcons on track to wrap up not only the NFC South, but the #1 seed for the NFC playoffs. Of course, the Saints are hoping that Atlanta loses and the Saints can get a win, which would give Sean Payton's team the #1 seed. It's been a good game.
Been a great game, and you expected it. These two teams have respect for one another. Despite the youth of Tampa Bay, Sean Payton knows this is a good football team he's facing.
Very late flag. Humphrey, the intended receiver, and they get Sean Jones.
Prior to the pass, holding defense number 26, 5-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
And you're going to see Sean Jones latched on here. The question is, did he get a handful there? Yeah, just a little bit. You can ride your hand on the hip as long as you don't alter the path of the receiver. Looks like he had him turned just subtly.
See that Atlanta scored now 21-0 over Carolina. Bush couldn't hang on.
Tampa Bay bringing a little bit more pressure here because they know the zone's not going to work. This is where you're vulnerable. Had he got his hands on this one, there was not much out there in front of him. Unfortunately, the ball had to come out a little early for Reggie Bush. Tampa dodged a bullet there with their pressure package because he might have been off to the races.
There's a score with less than a minute to play until halftime at the Georgia Dome. Three-man rush. And broken up in the secondary by Corey Lynch.
Yeah, this is a bit of a risk by Drew Brees. He's thinking he can drop this thing into the hole in only the way the great ones can. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers all over this. Lynch coming in over the top. Did a nice job getting the ball in over the top of Mack. But the safety right there where he needed to be knocked the ball down.
So it's 3rd and 10 at the 25-yard line. 52 seconds to play until halftime. Lance Moore fell down and it's intercepted. Larry Asante with the interception. And for Drew Brees, his 22nd interception thrown this year.
Boy, this is a tough one. He comes in here, he clears the DB Mack again. He is open, and all of a sudden he stumbles up. That's one of the easy interceptions you're going to get. You gotta applaud Tampa Bay, though. They were emotionally devastated with the fumble. To be able to respond this way, keep them not only out of the end zone, but they don't even get a chance at a field goal. Huge play for Tampa Bay, and Drew Brees knows this. You can't let this happen. Sean Payton knows his team's vulnerable here.
Josh Freeman going to take a knee, and they're going to make their way to the locker room at halftime with a 10-7 lead on the road. It's amazing that Brees has thrown as many interceptions as he has this year, a career high, as we mentioned, 22. And yet the Saints have only lost 4 games this entire year.
Well, and every great quarterback will always tell you, just give me enough throws. I'll make up for the mistakes with touchdown throws. And he has for the most part. But that is lethal. And that wasn't his fault. Typically, obviously, in terms of interceptions, we saw right there, that wasn't Drew Brees' fault.
Right.
He wasn't forcing the ball. He knew exactly where he wanted to go. It just turned out that way.
So these young Buccaneers, they know they have to win this game. They have to win. And then they will hope and pray for lots of help. They'll be rooting like crazy for the Washington Redskins to beat the New York Giants. They will be rooting like crazy for the Bears to beat the Packers. It's halftime, and we're back to New Orleans after these messages. Saints will get the football. New Orleans scored on its opening possession of the game. Since then, a fumble inside the 5, a punt, and the interception just before the half. Devery Henderson from the 5-yard line. And a good return up to the 30. All right, time for Coach Billick's breakdown.
Well, the numbers are pretty straightforward, but the questions I have, New Orleans, are you emotionally up? This building is a little different, Tom, as well. I don't know that they're emotionally into it. Tampa Bay, you got to create the turnovers like you had at the end of that half to continue to put your defense on a short field if you can. And for Tampa Bay, you got to sort out the protections. That's when they started to show a little vulnerability, when there was communication issues between Josh Freeman and Jeremy Zutaw, and then the tackles started to soften a little bit. They've got to sort out the pressure concerns.
Well, New Orleans started the game without Marcus Colston, without Jeremy Shockey, without David Thomas, without Pierre Thomas. Chris Ivory re-injured in the game today. So we'll see a lot of Julius Jones here in the second half. Breeze rolling around and right through Julius Jones' hands. Let's check in downstairs with Carissa Thompson.
Well, guys, catching up with both coaches at halftime, I talked to Sean Payton. I said, how long do we expect to see Drew Brees and the rest of the starters given the score of the Atlanta game? He goes, what's the score? Of course, playing coy. I said 21-0. He goes, if it gets any worse, I don't expect to see them in that much longer. However, I really want to win this game. Of course, that 12th win, very important to this Saints team. He said, I like what we're doing, but we got to have better ball security. Of course, you referenced the fumble and then the interception. But for Raheem Morris, likes what his team is doing more than anything. They're competing, guys.
Well, they're very much at. Reggie Bush breaks a couple of tackles. Strong running up to the 37-yard line. It brings up a 3rd down and 3 for the Saints.
That was a good sign for New Orleans. That was as strong a run as I've seen Reggie Bush have since he's been back from the injury. And that's going to be the key for Bush going forward. His confidence, obviously, on his leg. This is a great opportunity for him to show that he's ready to go back into the playoffs.
Looking around, and it's Arrington to the 47-yard line. Saw E.J. Biggers back in the game. He was shaken up in the first half.
Well, this was a 3-man rush by Tampa Bay. A nice job on the back end, but couldn't quite hold up long enough. It is good to see Biggers back. That allows them to be a little bit more pressure, bring their pressure package. You can see right here, it's just this 3-man rush. That gives Drew Brees time. We talked about it before. You give him too much time, he's going to find a hole in that zone defense.
Sean Payton very excited about the future of Adrian Arrington. Jones pitches it back to Brees, and nowhere close to Devery Henderson. 2nd down. You know, talking about Arrington, a young man who came out of Michigan, was placed on the practice squad. Other teams have tried to bring him onto their active roster, but they have paid him better despite being a practice squad player, and today he's up for the first time.
Well, it's a little like the Briscoe incidents you talked about in Tampa Bay, and I know owners around the league are going, whoa. You know, I love having the players, but all of a sudden we're escalating prices on developmental squad players. That's a bad precedent to set if you're an owner.
And Bush to the 40-yard line. It'll bring up another 3rd down for the Saints.
Yeah, and Sean Payton's going to continue to try. I know he's not paying attention to the Atlanta game, and okay, yeah, maybe he is, maybe he isn't in terms of some of the players that are now not going back into the game. He wants a well-orchestrated second half here. I know he wants to win this game, but he's got his mind on what he's trying to do. They're going to play a wild card game next week. He knows he's got to set a tempo for that as well.
And they know that will be against the NFC West champion. The slant and the completion to Lance Moore for a 1st down. The Saints know next week, unless Atlanta loses and the Saints come back to win, that they will play on the road either in St. Louis or in Seattle, depending on the outcome of that game tonight.
And we're seeing here by Drew Brees, it looks to me as though they have some type of quick slant up on every play on the backside of route, just in case pressure comes. We've seen Drew Brees throw those types of routes 3 and 4 times already in this game.
Running room for Julius Jones, led by Frank Okam. Now you wonder, do the Buccaneers have one of those planes where, you know, you have access to watching a football game on the way home? Because I can't think of a group of people that would want to know what's going on around the NFL once they get out of here. What's going on with Green Bay, and of course what's going on with the Giants.
Well, it's a short flight. They're apt to get back in time to see the end of a couple of those games, and the fact that they got to watch both games.
You always seem to have access to those kinds of planes. You know, the kind with satellite TV and
I'm big time.
Cell phone use.
It's amazing what you can get on Eddie's airline, you know, flying in and around the country. I got more airline miles this year than I care to admit.
Well, you have. You've been going every single Sunday night out to Los Angeles.
I'm big in LA, man. Going home.
You are. NFL doctor on FoxSports.com.
Yeah, that's been fun, though. I really have enjoyed that. That's been a good series this year.
All right, 3rd down and 7. Drop back into coverage. And Breeze looking, and has to throw it away.
Another great job on the back end by Tampa Bay. They are doing such a great job with the coverage. You can get so spread by New Orleans and those matchups. This is just something special. I mean, you've got to do this, the change up in pressures. Now you're going to see all over the field. You've got to stay plastered, work your combination of zones. The play gets extended. And yet you find here Rondé Barber rolling back into it. That's a great job on the back end because that's a long time to hold coverage when Drew Brees is running around.
So it'll be a 45-yard field goal try for Garrett Hartley. He has more than enough leg for this. And a little draw brings it right through. 1-point game, and now we're tied. Buccaneers scored on their first possession of the game to take a 3-0 lead. Back came Breeze into Saints on its first possession to go ahead 7-3 on the touchdown pass to Graham. Then Freeman found Briscoe in the second quarter to go up 10-7. And now the first possession for the Buccaneers to begin the second half culminates with a field goal to knock things at 10 apiece. From his own end zone, Michael Spurlock. Very dangerous in the return game. And a kicker to beat. And hardly able to run him, or Morstead runs him out of bounds at the 34-yard line. That's 2 weeks in a row where Spurlock has delivered a huge return.
And this is just a straight line. I want you to watch here, straight, and all of a sudden now the burst. And that's all this is. This is great burst by Michael Spurlock. Both coaches told us that they felt it was going to need to have some big play on special teams. Both wanted to see it today. So far, Tampa Bay's got theirs.
So they start this drive at the New Orleans 33-yard line. That's a 4th kickoff return this year of 65 yards or more by Spurlock, including back-to-back weeks. Play action fake, and that's Lorig, the one-time defensive end from Stanford, converted into a tight end and then added some additional duties at fullback. And he plays in place of the injured Ernest Graham today.
Now we're down in that part of the red zone where Josh Freeman has to be a little careful about what he does. You don't want to get yourself sacked out of field goal range. They're pretty good down into the box right here. Obviously, you want to come away with 7, but you don't want to lose field position for a possible 3 points as well.
Blunt's first carry of the second stanza. And much like many in the first half. Let's check back in with Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles.
Carolina gets a field goal to cut it to 21-3. Go for an onside kick. But they don't recover. Atlanta has it in good field position, trying to add to a 21-3 lead and clinch home field throughout the playoffs. Tom and Brian.
That's the way your brother-in-law Mike Smith had to prepare for that game today.
Yeah, his big concern was that what Carolina's going to do. They may onside kick after every kick. They may run a fake punt from their own 10. They had to be ready for everything today.
Garrett Blunt, the catch, and he's about a yard, maybe a little more short of a first down.
This is the one thing LeGarrette Blunt needs to add to his repertoire, the ability to drop the ball off to him. He's not a great receiver yet, not real naturally gifted in terms of his hands, but if he's going to be in there primarily on first and second down, he'll have to continue to get better at that because Josh Freeman's going to have plenty of opportunities to do just what he did there, drop the ball off to him. Lots of pressure.
Yep, and here they come. And a fade to the end zone, and no one's going to catch that. Well, these young Buccaneers, Josh Freeman in his second year. He's only thrown 6 interceptions all year long, now 13 games in a row with a touchdown. Blunt leads all rookie rushers in yards. Williams leads all rookies in catches, receiving yards, and touchdowns.
And he's got 2 rookies at guard as well. Every time you turn around, there's a rookie on this football team.
33-yard field goal try for Connor Barth to put Tampa Bay back in front, and he's got it. The teams trade field goals to begin this third quarter after the big return by Spurlock. Michael Spurlock, a 69-yard kickoff return, putting him in good position. And a field goal by Barth gives Tampa Bay a 3-point lead once again. That's where we were at halftime. Henderson dragged down to the 29-yard line. So now it's time for Breeze and the Saints with 7:56 to play in the third. Alongside Brian Billick, Carissa Thompson, and our entire Fox crew, Happy New Year, everybody. I'm Tom Brenneman. We're at the Superdome in New Orleans. Just under 8 minutes to play in the third quarter, and Tampa Bay on the road, needing a win and some help to get into the playoffs. Leading 13-10. It's Reggie Bush for a pickup of 8.
Well, we talked about coming in, Tom, about the pressure that both teams were going to put on. You can't play zone against Drew Brees and win with a 3-man rush, so you've got to bring people. You got to constantly change it up. He makes things stay alive in the pocket. It's feast or famine, and right now it's feast for Tampa Bay.
Bush cuts it back to the inside, has enough for a first down to the 40.
And here's the problem. You know, you can put pressure on Drew Brees. It's going to be tough to sack him, but you can get him to hurry his throw. You don't want him to throw on timing. You don't want to let him running around outside the edges and extend the play. If you can get him to throw the ball a little bit before he's ready, now you got a chance against Drew Brees.
Lance Moore. And he'll go down at the 45-yard line. That'll be a gain of 5 on first down for Lance Moore.
Yeah, Lance Moore's become a real wily veteran because he knows once you get your hand on the ball. He's not a real big guy. Drew Brees gets it outside real quick on a little play action here. He sees those white jersey coming in. You know what? Discretion's the better part of valor here. I'll live to fight another day. I'm just going to get down. I'm not going to let one of these big guys take a shot at me. This will be against New Orleans.
False start. Offense, number 64. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
And Zach Strief, he gets more playing time, I think, as an extra offensive lineman than anybody else in his role in the game.
And particularly today, because now with Graham down, Shockey was down to begin with, they're having to use him a little bit more in that tight end alignment than they might normally use him, simply because they're short of personnel.
Second down and 10. Breeze on the crossing pattern to Heath Evans out of the backfield. That'll be a gain of 2 yards. So third down and 8 for Breeze and the Saints, trailing by 3 under 6 minutes to play in the third quarter. Told you Tampa Bay has to win this game. Green Bay must lose. Washington must lose for them to get in the playoffs.
Hey, don't be touching my telescope.
Well, obviously, I didn't do it very well, so I'm not getting near it again.
Don't be touching my telescope.
You've become very protective of that in 2 years in television.
I got to block you off there.
Blitz coming. And Breeze is hit. The ball is loose. And the Buccaneers say they've recovered. And they did. It's a third turnover of the game by New Orleans. A fumble by Jones, an interception by Breeze, and now a fumble by Breeze.
Now, does the hand go forward? That's the key. As he starts it back, you got to see just the subtlest of forward action. No, the ball's still going back. That's clearly a fumble.
And that's Alex McGee all over him.
I tell you, Sean Payton right now, I know they're the clock and they don't, this game doesn't necessarily mean anything. He kind of burred up when we talked about, you know what, Tampa's coming in there to play. He burred up us a little bit going, you know what, we're here to play too. The way his team's playing right now has got to be a little bit of a concern.
Well, all that emotion of the game on Monday night when you go in there and you beat Atlanta, and Matt Ryan just his second career loss at the Dome. Freeman just stiff arms his way out of trouble and then carries it all the way down inside the 30 for a first down to the 27-yard line.
This is strong, man. I'll tell you what, it reminds me of Ben Roethlisberger pushing Terrell Suggs off in that great game they had against Baltimore. But watch this. He gets back into protection, and now he sees he's vulnerable. Watch him reach up and just hold this off. The hand on the face mask, I think he got away with something there. And then the athleticism here. Look at that. That should have been called. You can't put your hands to the face mask offensively or defensively. They got away with one there.
LeGarrette Blount, as Danny Clark loses a helmet. Blount carries to the 23-yard line, and let's check in once again with Kurt Menefee back in L.A.
Things not going the Saints' way in the Superdome nor the Georgia Dome. Atlanta in firm control. Dante Robinson picks off Jimmy Clausen, already up 24-3. Falcons looking to add more midway through the third quarter. Tom and Brian.
Well, thank you so much, Kurt Menefee. Tampa Bay trying to make it a 10-win season after the two teams in front of them have done even better than that. It's a good division, man. Has been for a long time. Many of the other divisions with bigger markets get a lot more publicity. I'm not sure one's been any better than this one. That's a nice play in the open field by Porter, chopping down Briscoe. Off to the NFC East is ballyhooed. They haven't been able to carry the weight this NFC South has for a decade.
No, and I tell you what, Porter, this is a nice job, because if he steps out of that, I don't know that there was a whole lot. You can see right there, there's nothing between him and the end zone right there. That's a great open field tackle by Tracy Porter. Always find Kellen Winslow in these situations.
Play clock down to 1, and they didn't get it off, or did they? No flag. So he got it away in time. Winslow the catch. Very close to another first down. Brian, explain that rule. We saw it a couple of weeks ago about we might see 0 on the play clock, but on the field what happens?
Right, because keep in mind the officials, these guys, these officials here, one of the two of them have to check the clock. So they have to look up, they have to see where the play clock is, then look back down to see if the ball snapped. So there's naturally going to be just the subtlest of delay. If there's no other way to do it, you'd like for it to be more equitable, but the mechanics of the official actually gives you just that half a count after the snap.
4th down in the yard, and they're going for it. And now timeout.
Yeah, you got to get this one right.
Fourth and 1 when we come back. Tampa Bay still goes for it. 4th and a yard at the 18.
We're going to test the resolve right here. Can you run forward, or do you need to get a little quick play action fake?
Oh, Freeman was going to step away and throw. Now does so, and it's a touchdown. Mike Williams on 4th down and a yard. They lure everybody into believing they're going to run it, and then they throw the jump ball for 6.
Well,
wow.
He thought the tight end was going to come out the backside. I promise you, this wasn't designed to go to Mike Williams. But Josh Freeman's faith in Mike Williams to throw up what might look like just a jump ball, I guarantee you he was not the primary guy. And all of a sudden now the tight end gets jammed up. Just the ability, and they talk about the leaping ability, the long arms, the strong hands of this rookie, Mike Williams. Look at this. You covered me there, pal. I don't know if that's the way we drew it up, but it's a touchdown either way.
So now for a 10-point advantage, the point after by Barth is good. You don't know if it'll be good enough to get in the playoffs, but what a year it's been for Freeman and the youngest team in the NFL, the Buccaneers. After the fumble by Drew Brees, Tampa Bay cashes in on 4th and a yard. We're going to go back to that touchdown in a moment. And Brian Billick, you're going to tell us what happened to the guy they thought they were going to be throwing the ball to, Kellen Winslow.
And you got to love that as a coach. No way the way you practiced it, but it's still a touchdown. Life's good.
What a collision, and somehow Henderson still on his feet. Took a lick from Craig Lumpkin and stayed up.
Now I want you to watch right here, Kellen Winslow. He slams down, right? Like it's going to be a run, and then watch. He slow plays, slow plays, and now he's going to release. But Shanley and Harper are all over it. That's where he wanted to go. And instead now it's just, okay, my number one's dead. Now I'm going to come back and throw up a jump ball to Mike Williams for a score. Reeves going, he knows too, boy. We're just living good. I love it.
Well, that kickoff return, Elbert Mack, an injured Tampa Bay Buccaneer. I'll tell you one thing. We saw Tampa Bay a number of times early in the year, and there weren't a lot of believers out there. Certainly the guy who has to believe, he's paid to believe, and he sincerely believed, is Raheem Morris. And as this season has gone on, the more and more time you spend around him, Brian, I'm not so sure he couldn't have you believing if you were around him for a couple of more weeks that they're going to go undefeated next year.
You know what? Yeah, we're going to see the Mac, I think, as he comes into the frame. Just comes in, takes a shot going down here, and this is friendly fire here. Kind of hits his own man, gets the neck jerked up right into there. Hopefully it's just a bit of a stinger. He's moving around pretty good, so that's a good sign.
Yep, he's getting up. Let's check in with Kurt Menefee.
Well, you got to believe that the Falcons have wrapped up home field throughout the playoffs. Michael Turner's touchdown run came off the Carolina turnover we showed you earlier. It's 31-3 Falcons winding down the third quarter. Barring the miracle of miracles, Atlanta will clinch home field throughout the NFC playoff. Tom and Brian.
Got a lot of friends that hang around Turner Field, the baseball venue in Atlanta, that like to say this one is D-U-N done. That one's done.
Good to see Mac up and moving around. You know, but you were talking about Raheem Morris and the energy. We did their Cincinnati game. We asked him yesterday, what game turned it for you? That win in Cincinnati. Now, we didn't know Cincinnati was going to be a bad team this year at the time, but a road win. And he came in, his energy, and I told him. I said, this guy doesn't know what he doesn't know. How can they possibly think they're going to be
That's not
good?
what you said.
Well, I can't say what I actually said. But I tell you what, he's got this team believing, and it's fun to see.
Flags come in on the first down carry by Reggie Bush. Roy Miller, the first one there to meet him.
Well, we talked about the open, Tom, both these teams.
Holding, offense number 73, 10-yard penalty, replay, first down.
Beyond the playoff picture, there were things to be done by these teams. Right now, Tampa Bay is delivering on the promise. We want to get to 10 wins. All that means, the playoffs will take care of themselves. New Orleans wanted to get to 12 wins. They wanted to be that rare team coming off a Super Bowl win that could come back and have 12 wins in the season. They're not playing with the execution and the emotion that it's done right now.
Bush, a big gainer. First down, all the way up to the 40-yard line. It wasn't very pretty, but it got the job done.
Well, watch the explosion. This is what I'm talking about. Reggie Bush looks like he is back and healthy. We did not see this 2 weeks ago. Quick little draw trap. Now watch the explosion, the cut on the leg. That's what we weren't seeing the last couple weeks. It looks like he is back and healthy, and they're going to need this going into the playoffs.
Bush now split wide left on first down. And Breeze is sacked all the way back into 31, but this could be a face mask penalty on the sack by Sean Jones. Roy Miller also there. Styles G. White.
Personal foul, face mask, defense, number 90. The penalty occurs behind the line of scrimmage, therefore the spot of enforcement will be from the spot of the foul. 15 yards, automatic, first down.
Yeah, and that's just one of those incidental grabs as you go by. Not hard to call face mask when the quarterback comes up looking through his ear hole. Something happened there. But that's one of those incidental brushes. It's not like he did that on purpose. Tough because they had a great pressure on Drew Brees. That would have been a huge sack.
Screen to Bush. And dropped nearly at the line of scrimmage. Some of the numbers for Reggie Bush today, what you were just talking about a moment ago, Coach Billick.
Yeah, this is a good day for him. He's not normally going to be a big carry guy. If he can get to 10 carries in a given game, that's a lot for Reggie Bush, but very productive, notwithstanding that last draw. They want to get more of those types of screens to him, but Tampa Bay is doing a good job jumping on the screen game with the New Orleans Saints.
Well, they don't have to run a play before the end of the quarter. And they're not going to. 20-10 our count at the end of 3. Fox NFL Sunday continues after a word from your local Fox station. 20-10 Tampa Bay at the end of 3 quarters. But New Orleans from its own 48-yard line, a 2nd and 10 upcoming. They've been beaten up today. They were beat up before the game started as far as players available on offense. No Marcus Colston, no Jeremy Shockey, no Pierre Thomas. Lost Jimmy Graham earlier in the game. And certainly a healthy Reggie Bush. What a throw. Made sure Bush could get it. Threw it to his back shoulder, sideline shoulder, where he could get it.
Well, and you've got the matchup out here. Reggie Bush on a safety. That's all Sean Payton's doing right here is looking, or I should say Drew Brees, where are my matchups? That's rare to see that type of timing, a little throwback to a running back. Typically you see it with the wide receiver. Reggie Bush very much like a wide receiver when they break him out.
It's a career high in pass attempts this season for Drew Brees. Over 650 passes on the season. Nearly intercepted. Rondé Barber got his fingers on it.
Tom, we're going to go to a Billick 101 here because it's really testing Sean Payton. We're going to talk about the play calling sheet. First situational calls, then you have your play types, then your personnel. And these are all grouped in different spots right here. And he's having to look on this play call sheet today because he's down some personnel groupings. He's got to come back now and find, okay, I don't have a lot of 2 tights. My 3 wides, I got to do more regular. I got to do more 3 wides. He's really searching that sheet for the right play calls today.
Meacham shoved out of bounds by Lewis. Crowd wanted a penalty. Of course, Meacham got tangled up with a photographer along the sideline and had to be helped off the field in Atlanta the other night. Boy, Sean Payton was really upset about it. Harkening back to what a mascot in Tennessee a few years ago that sidelined their quarterback for a game.
Yeah, it's tough enough going on in between the lines. You don't lose play because of what's going on outside of the lines.
3rd down, then a big one for the Saints. And they'll get it on the completed pass to Arrington.
Well, as you mentioned, Tom, Arrington's new to this group. That just shows you Drew Brees, just throw somebody in there. I'll find them. They like this kid. He's got good size at 6'3", 190 pounds. Keep in mind they're without Marcus Colston today. This is another big receiver that if they can work him into the rotation, that's a lot of weapons to go to when you're back to full strength beginning next week into the wild card round.
4 catches, 54 yards in the season debut for Adrian Arrington. And here's Meacham on the end around. What a play by Barber.
Another veteran move by Rondé Barber. He says, I'm not buying this. He's on the outside. They motion the fullback back in. He can see through to the backfield. He goes, nah, this doesn't look right. Something's not right about this. The receiver kind of slow played inside. I can't be a factor inside. I'll just stay home and do my job. He's seen this a million times. You're not going to fool Rondé Barber.
Second charge timeout, Tampa Bay.
Buccaneers, prior to that second down and 13, say timeout. 12:35 to play here at the Superdome in New Orleans. 20-10, Tampa Bay leading. Saints of the Buccaneers 17 on a second down and 13. Julius Jones, with penalty flags down on the play, carries inside the 15.
Holding. Offense number 78. 10-yard penalty. Replay, second down.
It's Stinchcomb, the right tackle.
Yeah, this is always tough on a draw like that. You're going to invite them in, and then as they go by, if you don't let go at just the right time, Stinchcomb guilty of holding on to the ball to the defender.
We're talking about Rondé Barber. Will this be his final game as a Buccaneer? The only player in the history of the league with 40 or more interceptions, 25 or more sacks. We told you, starting his 183rd consecutive game. Most recently went to the Pro Bowl in 2008. He said he won't play for anybody else except for Tampa Bay. That's it. So if they bring him back, he's playing. If they don't, he's not. Arrington to the 20. Brings up third down.
Another great catch by Arrington. Drew Brees throwing the ball the only place he could to the outside. Actually, was great coverage. Just the only place it could be. Watch where this ball lands. And he's not, again, Drew Brees, he's off his back foot. He doesn't have his shoulders into it. Throws it outside, falling away. The only place that ball was going to be complete.
10th play of the drive, trying to keep it alive. Brees steps up and right through the hands, it looked like, of Humphrey. Really the fourth string tight end is Humphrey, behind Shockey, Graham, and Thomas. I don't know, maybe a different look, and this wasn't as good a throw as maybe I thought it was.
Well, a little bit high. You can see him coming across the field. The safety's coming in over the top. You got to be careful, otherwise you get another pick like we had to end the half. Ball's just a little high, but you're throwing the guy open. If you throw it any other place, you got no chance of completion. If that's Graham, maybe that's a touchdown.
38-yard field goal try by Huntley. And it is good. The lead is back to 7. (20-13). 11:17 to play in the fourth quarter. Tampa Bay trying to get to 10 wins and hoping for help from the Bears and the Redskins later today. 20-13 with 11:17 to play here at the Superdome in New Orleans. Talked about what a great season it's been for Josh Freeman. How good has he been again today?
Boy, look how efficient. 18 of 22. No turnovers. The young man continues to get better and better.
Number of backups coming into the game for New Orleans on defense. And also Chase Daniel, the backup quarterback, starting to get loose along the sideline. Coming up next, our Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader continues with America's Game of the Week. The Bears and the Packers from Lambeau. Others will see the Giants and Redskins, some the Cowboys and Eagles. Our coverage begins right after this game here on Fox. Here you get a look at Chase Daniel alongside Drew Brees. Daniels may be coming in. We'll see. Garrett Blunt for a yard, maybe two. If Tampa Bay can hang on, it's pretty simple. They would need help. If the Packers win, they're in. If the Packers lose and the Giants beat the Redskins, the Giants are in, the Packers are out. Both of those teams would have to lose, the Packers and the Giants. And Tampa Bay win this one for Raheem Morris' team to reach the NFC playoffs. And a penalty flag comes in. That might be a horse collar, which would be an automatic first down on what would have been a third down incompleted pass.
Yeah, he just needed to let him go out of bounds. This play is dead when he gets to the outside. They're sorting it out right now. It certainly wasn't a late hit. We're going to have to let the
horse collar tackle.
Yep.
Defense, number 96. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And you're going to see as he approaches the sideline, the hand has to go in behind the shoulder pads as it does, pulling it down. Yeah, that's classic horse collar. Brings it down underneath the legs. I know you don't want to, the Saints fans don't want to hear that and see this because this play was all over, but he's clearly got a hold of it. He's bringing it down and he's whipping back underneath the legs. It's the classic call. It's the correct call.
Play fake to Blunt. And a flip to Blunt. And he fumbles the ball. And Jolan Dunbar's got it. Still on his feet. Flags are all over the place. Perhaps a second-year quarterback mistake right there by Freeman. Just on the give to Blunt. And then if there's a knock on Blunt, it's his inability to protect the football when carrying it.
Yeah, and he was surprised by this. He's going back for protection. All of a sudden, wait a minute, I got the ball. But at that point, you do have to hold on to it. That's a comedy of errors, boy. You hate to see Tampa has played so well. You hate to see them be victimized by this.
Alex Brown, who got the horse collar tackle a minute ago, stripped the football from Blunt, and then Dunbar picks it up.
Would the game clock operator please reset the game clock to 9 minutes, 15 seconds. 9 minutes, 15 seconds on the game clock, please.
Meanwhile, Chase Daniel has come into the game. Daniel, of course, had such a great career at Missouri. Then went undrafted. Then he felt he was too short to play quarterback in the NFL. They said the same thing for many years about Drew Brees. And that is his first pass in the NFL, completed pass in the NFL.
And smart move by Sean Payton. Get him outside the edge a little bit. Don't make him make that first throw from the pocket. Sean Payton jokingly say, well, we got Chase Daniels here because Drew wanted someone that made him feel tall. So we got someone shorter. This was a great college quarterback, had a great career.
Sure did.
This is quite a situation to step into.
Having never thrown a pass.
Yeah.
Well, he's played in games, but he's just come in and basically taken a knee. Jones nearly fumbled it for what would have been a second time in the game. And it's very close to a first down.
And if I'm Raheem Morris, again, obviously a lot at stake for them. I'm loving what's going on here. Put my team in tough situations. We're a young team. We're learning. They'll learn from this. They're all about winning right now. Make no mistake. I'm kind of looking at a broader view, and yeah, they want to get to 10 wins, and we'll see if maybe Green Bay might lose, maybe New York might lose. That's all they're focused on right now. But I love the way this young team is responding to what's been thrown at them, and they're going to be a better team in 2011 because of it.
Right through the midst of Reggie Bush. And he covers it up. Wrapped up by Sean Jones. That'll be a loss of 6.
And I'll tell you this, and Raheem Morris will tell you the same thing. However this game ends, if indeed Tampa holds on, people will look at this here. This is just a little quick dive option. Throw it to the outside. Looks like it had a little bit of heat on it. But I tell you what, the New Orleans Saints and Sean Payton, they can look back and say, well, it's the end of the season. We didn't have anything for play for 3 quarters, for 3.5 quarters. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been the better team. There'll be no looking back on this one and saying, well, the circumstances, they're the better team today.
And, of course, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they are looking back on what happened 2 weeks ago.
Oh, God.
2 weeks ago. And that was when the Detroit Lions ended a 26-game road losing streak. Where would they be today? This is going to be a hold against Tampa Bay. Flag came down on the punt. Well, you think back to that Detroit game.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, we got to talk about that. Wow. Look at this. Gene's going to tell us.
Joining the kick, holding number 31 of the receiving team. The result of the play is a touchback. The penalty will be enforced from the 20-yard line to the 10. First down, Tampa Bay. Timeout.
(20-13) with 7:11 to go. We mentioned the game against Detroit and the loss 2 weeks ago in Tampa. That was an overtime loss for the Buccaneers. And let's not forget, there was a play in that game, offensive pass interference against Kenlon Winslow, when Winslow scored a touchdown on the play. They took away a touchdown, had to settle for a field goal. Touchdown would have put him ahead. It would have won the game for him. And the NFL apologized on Monday, saying the crew made the wrong call.
Wow. Because you look at the losses at Tampa Bay, Baltimore, twice to Atlanta, New Orleans, and Pittsburgh. There's a lot of teams that would have losses against teams like that. And to have that Detroit game with all the things you just outlined, that's a hard one to swallow when you have time to reflect back on it.
Well, they've not beaten a team with a winning record all year. But that's not their fault. I mean, you know, you play who you play and when you play it. Ross on a second down and 2 all the way back to the 15 for LeGarrette Blount, so that'll bring up 3rd down and 5. And I say it's not their fault. You know, you had a chance to beat some teams with winning records, but like you just said, all those teams you just said are going to the playoffs.
It's hard to develop a quarterback and win at the same time. It's hard to develop a young team and win at the same time, and that's exactly what Raheem Morris has done, and it's going to be fun to watch these guys going into 2011, whether they make the playoffs this year or not.
Boy, clock down to 1. They may not get it off. They just do get it off. And apparently they did.
Prior to the snap, timeout. Tampa Bay was called by number 24. Number 24 called the timeout prior to the
veteran,
snap.
very savvy Carnell Williams. He knew what was going on. And he's the one who called timeout.
That's a great move. Look at right here. He's watching the clock. He knows the quarterback's looking at some other things. He turns and calls it because he knows the ball's not going to get off. And we saw it earlier in the end of the first half where Josh Freeman and the center, Zutah, got after each other. Keep in mind, you're bent over, you're looking between your legs, you're having to see what the defense is doing. That's a lot to process. That's a good veteran move by Carnell Williams.
Of course, the postseason in the National Football League gets underway next weekend on Fox. And there's a potential for some killer games.
You know, notwithstanding what comes out of the NFC West, not to disrespect them, but the other 5 teams in the NFC, boy, I don't know how you pick those. On any given Sunday, it's going to be a great playoff atmosphere.
And the AFC will be too.
Same way, same way. The league has got just what they wanted.
Third down, Freeman looking around, down wide open in the middle of the field. And still on his feet, and finally down is Briscoe at the 31-yard line.
Yeah, this is just a blown coverage. You're going to see a bunch. He's just going to go vertical down the middle of the field. The free safety, for some reason, doesn't recognize the 3-man combination. That's just anytime you bring pressure, anytime you try to disguise as much as New Orleans does, they disguise themselves out of a big play there. That's just a broken coverage and a huge play by Tampa Bay. I don't care who's in the game.
Right now the Bucs will give it to Blunt. And he picks up 2.
Yeah, we're going to see a whole bunch of this in the classic 4-minute mentality. Your 4-minute offense has a whole nother set of rules to it, just like your 2-minute. 4-minute offense says run the ball, running back, make sure you cover up 1, stay in bounds on 2, and 3, quarterback, be prepared to take a sack rather than an incompletion. Greg Olson's upset about something. He can't be too upset about what his team's doing today.
Offset line, and Blunt shot down in a nice play. Behind the line of scrimmage by Remy Adele. Saints will spend their first timeout of the second half, stopping the clock with 4:11 to go. So again to repeat, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 4 minutes and 11 seconds away from a win. That's where this day started for Tampa Bay, knowing it had to win this game. Should they do so?
And quite
both
frankly,
the Packers and the Giants must lose, and both of those teams will be playing on Fox at the conclusion of this game.
And frankly, coming in, of all the scenarios, Tampa coming in and beating New Orleans was probably the one that most people would look at and say was the biggest stretch.
All right, let me ask you, of the next 2 games, which one would surprise you if they lost the most?
Green Bay. I think Green Bay is going to win. If they lose to Chicago at home, that would be a shock to me.
We welcome those of you who watched Detroit win its final game of the year. And miscommunication on a 3rd down throw by Josh Freeman. Buccaneers lead by 7, and now a very important field goal try is upcoming for the Bucs, who, for those of you that are just joining us, must win this game today. It would be their 10th victory of the season after winning 3 games all of last year. And they need both the Green Bay Packers and the New York Giants to lose later today to get into the playoffs. 48-yard field goal attempt by Connor Bryant to make it a 2-possession game. Right down the can. And it's a 10-point Tampa Bay lead. Look at the last 2 weeks for this young man.
That's as big league as it gets. And keeping in mind, this is a young quarterback developing with a lot on the line. As I said earlier, it's hard to develop a quarterback when you're trying to win. It's better for a quarterback, really, if you can put him in there and say, just go make your mistakes, and then and we'll learn from that, and it'll be better for you next year. When you have so much on the line, and this young man, Tom, we talk about the game slowing down. Typically that happens in a quarterback's 25th to 30th start, and that's right where this young man is. He started 10 games last year. Obviously, this is week 16 for him. He's right at that critical point. We asked him the other day about, has the game slowed down, as he was explaining to us what he sees. He said, well, of course, physically it doesn't, but yeah, I'm beginning to see things clearer and clearer in terms of defensive rotation, where everybody belongs. This young man, the sky is the limit for him. Raheem Morris hitched his wagon to him.
And to verify, Brian, what you're talking about, how hard it is to play young players, develop them, and win. Take a look at this. This Tampa Bay team, the first team to start 10 rookies and have a winning season going all the way back to the 1970 merger strike season.
Yeah, notwithstanding.
Devery Henderson up to the 30. Let's quickly send it back to Kurt Menefee.
And a quick reminder that when you're done, more games with playoff implications. The Packers will host the Bears. A win, and the Packers are in the playoffs. Should Green Bay lose and the Giants knock off the Redskins, New York gets a postseason berth. We'll keep you updated on all the scores as we head towards playoff football. Tom, Brian?
All right, Kurt, thank you. Brian, you were starting to mention about Raheem Morris hitching his wagon to Josh Freeman. Our visit with Morris last night, I found just riveting. In going back to draft day a couple of years ago, Raheem Morris had just been named the head coach and talking about how they wanted to rebuild his franchise, and the three quarterbacks that everybody had most high on the list would be Matthew Stafford, Mark Sanchez, Josh Freeman, in that order. But because Raheem Morris had spent a year with Freeman at Kansas State, he said his list went Josh Freeman #1. Now, I don't know if he's just telling us that last night because he's had him for 2 years. No, but I think he believed it.
And yes, he did, and that's very typical, and I found it interesting to listen to the process, as I always would be. He talked about, I laid back. I let my scouts and the coaches lay out what they thought the draft order should be. Right, I'm going to let them draw their own conclusions. And they saw the same thing to a degree, but that's when I finally step in and says, look, this is what I want. I know this young man. I believe in him. And he had to sell the organization on the fact that, we're going to pick the right players. We're going to pick a certain personality, and we're going to grow with them. And that's exactly what they've done. The fact that they're winning this early is just icing on the cake.
And make no mistake, you can look at Josh Freeman and the old adage about judging a book by its cover, but make no mistake about it, this guy is as heartland of America as heartland of America gets. Freeman grew up, born and raised in Kansas City in the suburbs there, played at Kansas State. He is just grounded, rock solid kid.
I'll share a story with you, Tom. His father had called Tony Dungy, knowing that he was going to Tampa Bay, and said, look, would you spend a little time with my son? He's in a new place. His mother and I obviously want to look after him. And Tony Dungy was happy to do that. And it wasn't but a couple weeks he called back and he said, I'd love to continue to visit with your son, but you know what? He doesn't need me. There's a lot of other young men that need my attention. This is a fine young man. He's going to do fine in this environment. He's just a pleasant man to visit with. And you can be offset by his personality a little bit because you wonder, and this was a concern, gee, where's the fire? Where's that it factor? But Raheem Morris saw it in this guy. He doesn't come across that way. He's very soft-spoken. He's got a very congenial smile, but that belies the fact that he is a pure competitor because he's all about winning. Raheem Morris knew that and knew he had a gem in taking Josh Freeman with the 17th pick of the draft.
10-point game, 2:13 to go.
Run Rondé Barber again, right in the middle in the thick of it. You know, Rondé Barber, he's something special. Seeing here, obviously, as the quarterback's progression and jumps in, he knows exactly where the ball's going.
So 2:08 to play, 23-13 our score, a 4th down and 1, and the Saints are going to go ahead and punt it away. Saw Raheem Morris and Rondé Barber. They're the same age.
How about that?
Very good friends before they became head coach and player 2 years ago. The punt takes us to the 2-minute warning. And friends are enjoying a few smiles on this Sunday in early January. To 13, 2-minute warning. Our game summary today, Josh Freeman comes up with a monster game again. Not the 5 touchdowns he had a week ago, but like last week will lead his team to victory. LeGarrette Blount on the 1st down carry. For New Orleans, Reggie Bush, a very, very good game. As Brian has pointed out today, that's a good sign for the playoffs beginning next week. And for the Buccaneers coming in, we knew they needed a win.
Well, you can check that one off. All right. They got that one cleared.
And now they'll be rooting for losses by both the Giants and the Packers. So we're down to the final minute. Our game today produced by Bob Stetter, directed by Rich Dewey. Our technical producer is Bob Muller. And our technical director, Glenn Wilhelm. Our associate director, Wayne Wilston. Our broadcast associate, Bill Cullen. And so many others up here in the booth all year long with us on stats, Tom Barbary. Our spotter, Scott Snyder. And so many others. But Brian Billick, your name has been frequently mentioned in the newspapers and on radio and television reports. And whether or not you make the decision or have the opportunity to begin a head coaching career again in the NFL, that is your decision. And whatever the decision is, obviously, all of us are rooting for you for all the very, very best. Because for those of us that didn't know you until joining you in the booth last year, let me say for everybody on this entire crew, what a great experience it's been to work with you each and every week.
Well, you guys, you're not rid of me yet.
No, I know we're not.
But you guys, I tell you what, this has been a joy. You guys have been a great team to be with. And as we said earlier,
are you thinking about it?
Well, yeah, you have to. You have to look at the possibilities. It has to be the right partnership going in. But I tell you what, I've enjoyed the partnership we've had, and we may continue this thing on, man. This has been fun.
All right. Well, all the best. And hopefully you're with us here at least in 3 weeks at the Pro Bowl in Hawaii. 23-13 is the final. The Saints will play in the playoffs against the NFC West champion next week on the road. New Orleans has never won a road playoff game. The Buccaneers reached 10 wins. Will they get in? Kurt Menefee to bring you all the latest from Los Angeles. Happy New Year, everybody.